Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I am using the pins and needles jar, the Boolicious full cupcake pieces, some of the pieces from there, from Spellbinders. All of this is Spellbinders so far. I have got Sunday Drive, I have the Halloween Sunday Drive with a couple of pieces from there. And I have Lawn Fawns stitched hillside borders, just for a bit of a wave, and you'll see that in a minute. And then I have some Tim Holtz Ideology Curiosity stickers. So what I decided to do is use the stitched the jar that's in the stitching die set from ages ago. And what I did was it comes with a little pin cushion that's sort of domed at the top. I actually cut that off, which I'm showing you now. I cut that piece off. And I cut it so that on the fold line of an A2 size card, I think it was slightly bigger than an A2 because the die itself is quite long or tall. So I just, on the left hand side where the fold line of the card is, I put the die cut edge that would normally cut, I popped that slightly off the edge of the card, of the fold line, so that it didn't actually cut through the two layers. It just left a hinge, if you like, or what would be the fold in the card to create that. I can do a separate video to show you exactly how I've done that, but they're really, really easy, and this technique's been done for ages and ages to make shape cards out of your dies that you've got. On the back, because my dies plates are quite messed up now because I use them a lot, I did the same thing again. I just die cut the whole shape out and cut the top bit, which is like the pin cushion bit. I cut that off again and added a black piece card to the back of the card, because it is a Halloween card at the end of the day, but the inside's white if I want to write in it. I then did the same with some sort of almost like dirty glass is what I was thinking for the main glass jar. So I did the same again and then inked with some brushed corduroy. I then cut the same jar again, so the jar's been cut out like 4 times, one for the base card and then 3 other times, and I used a sort of quite a bright green, what I would think of like green goo in a jar. I cut the bottom edge of the jar out, and then I used the wavy border die from Lawn Fawn to create what looks like movement in the jar, so it's kind of like a liquid in there, a green gooey liquid. That's what happened in my head. I also inked the edge of everything pretty much with brushed corduroy. The main lid of the jar, I will show you what I do with that in a second. I also have all my die cut pieces, so these are from all those 2 other die sets that I showed you. So I have the eyeballs, so I decided on purple eyeballs and then inked the edges of those. I have some bones and the skull that I have also cut out. Those all came from the cupcake die set. And then these little, I don't know, like little foliage pieces, they actually look like bones on the end. I think it's so cute. That's from the Sunday Drive Halloween set, which if you've seen my other videos, you know I love that set. I love anything with a little car in it. I don't know why. Or doors. I have a thing about doors. So next bit is just to do a little bit of cleanup, and then I will grab the I believe I'm going to grab the lid, which I cut out of some, oh maybe not yet. Oh yes, maybe we are. The lid I cut out of some brushed, not brushed, like a shiny mirror cardstock that I had on hand in the colour that I thought worked well. And then I decided to use the Tim Holtz sander, which is just on an applicator tool, like he does, the normal foam applicator. I just use one for the foam, for the sandpaper discs. And so I did that and just basically roughed that up, because I didn't want that to be nice and shiny new when this is supposed to look like a manky old jar that's full of green goo and eyeballs and stuff. So and then on the top of that, where the sandpaper had taken some of the shiny cardstock off back to the base of it, I used black soot just to make that look more tarnished and more kind of messed up. I mean, it's Halloween, so the more messed up you can do things, the better. I always think it looks cool when you do that kind of thing. You can do the fun, cute stuff, which I do love, but I love this kind of stuff. So with that bottom piece, which is essentially the liquid in the jar, I then just, it's easy because they're the exact same die, so it's just lining up straight on the bottom of that, and that gives me my liquid in the jar. So I think if I'd had enough time and had thought of it earlier on, I could have actually put another layer on there that could have been like an acetate layer, and that would have given a really shiny, glassy, so to speak, look to the entire thing, and it would have encapsulated, oh, listen to me, all the eyeballs. But I didn't think that far, or quick enough, or had time to think about that. So so I'm just grabbing the eyeballs. That sounds really weird. Grabbing the eyeballs and just getting them in there. I realize there's a couple of times I sort of try and overlap them one way and all the rest of it, and it doesn't actually look right because eyeballs don't do that. So just tucking behind or putting on top is what works best, rather than sort of having one tucked a little bit behind and a little bit over the top. They're round. It's not, I don't know, that didn't seem realistic for me. But I just piled them up in there. I thought they looked kind of cool. I'm not adding any shiny or sparkly stuff to this. One, it's Halloween stuff, so do we need that? I mean, other than the jar lid. But I still think you could add, shininess, like glossy accents or something like that to the eyeballs if you wanted to, or like I say, an acetate overlay would be cool, and you could actually wedge that between the lid and the rest of it, so that you don't really need to see the adhesive, because obviously it's clear. So that's where you could, if you wanted to add that layer in, you could do it there before you put the lid on, if that makes sense. Sandwich it, that's the word. Sandwich it between the two. So on the top here, this is where I'm putting my little extra, what do you call them? Just like extra decoration. So it's like a bony foliage sort of thing. So just popping that in there, and then I have the big skull, which I'm going to put in the front, on the front at least. And then it took me the longest time to work out where I was going to put those bones, because I just couldn't work out what to do with them. I had this initial idea to add them to the sort of as if they're sitting in front of the jar, as if it kind of like if it was on a shelf or something, and you could have these bones sticking there, but they kind of blended into the eyeballs a little bit, and I just thought they didn't look quite right. So this is me faffing about trying to see if there's another way I can do this, and although I can get them sort of stacked quite nicely, it just, you lose them too much in that area, and I just thought, nah, it just wasn't working for me at the time. So I made a new plan with them, and I still need to put my, I guess, quote unquote sentiment onto the card. So I'm going to use some of the bones to create almost like a banner, I guess, for the sentiment, and then I will add the others in there as well. You'll see that in a second. So I'm just going to add my front panel, or this main panel, to the base of the card, and then I will finish off the sentiment. I think I just needed a break from all the bones, quite frankly. It was that moment where you just have to put it down and back away from the bones, and then decide what you're going to do with them. And that was enough. So I just lined this up. This lined up pretty well, given that I mean, they are the same die, but sometimes cardstock can either sort of warp a little bit, or it can twist or whatever, so it doesn't always line up perfect, but this one was pretty good, and I was quite happy with that. So this is my sentiment. So it's same thing again. I felt like it just got too lost in the background, and that top area of the jar just is kind of too empty, so I was a bit sort of not sure what to do. And then I thought, let's create a bone effect banner type thing for the sentiment. So I cut one end of the bone off, and then the sentiment this one of the stickers from the sticker book, and it happens to fit the width almost perfectly of the bones themselves, so it actually worked out pretty good. so now I've got this kind of like a long bone with the sentiment on it. And then I decided, I still had the other two bones, and I decided to do like a crossbone type thing in the middle, just as, again, just some extra decoration, and just to also use them up, because I'd had this, I had one idea, and I know things change, and like we change our mind when we're mid-flow on a project, which is good, but and does happen a lot to me. But I just I really wanted to use the bones with the whole skull and everything else. So I just kind of arranged them, just flat adhesive on there. And because I've got the like some of the card from the other bones, when the sentiment goes down over the top of because there's lots of layers there, or a few layers of cardstock, it actually kind of gives it a slightly bowed look, like it's bowing out slightly, so it just gives it a neat effect, but obviously you do you. So it says Eye of Newt, toe of frog. Can't even read it, my eyesight's so bad. It will stand up, which I was chuffed with, but I kind of thought it would, but it's got a slightly rounded base. But there you go, guys. Eye of Newt and toe of dog. Jar of eyeballs. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this first of hopefully many Halloween projects that I do this year, and probably into the next year, because I think I'm obsessed with it, so I may just carry on. I think I was supposed to do that this year, but we won't tell anyone. So until next time, guys, bye for now.